What is it that's keeping gamers up at night at the moment? Is it GTA 6? What's it going to be? When's it coming out? When are we going to see more of it? Maybe it's Solarian. Everyone's excited about their follow-up to Baldur's Gate 3. What genre of game? It could be anything. We know it's going to be great. From Software. Surely they just haven't been working on Night Rain or that Switch multiplayer title. They've got to have other stuff in the works. Something big. A big Elden Ring-like epic. I don't think it's any of those, because this is the year. 2025, it's the release of Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, and everyone is waiting for the release date. We know it's going to be October. We knew that for a while, but hang on to your hats. Make sure you're sitting down, because we've now got the release date, apparently. It's been leaked. Can't confirm it. This is a rumor. It could turn out to be not true, so I apologize in advance if you've gotten excited. It may not be coming on this date that I'm going to give you, but it's sounding like it's probably true, given we've known for a while it's going to be October. But according to this rumor, this website, I think it's a Philippines retailer, they accidentally put the release date of October 21st. For the release of Bloodlines 2, and then they hastily got rid of the listing or something, so it seems like they were trying to hide the evidence that suggests that it's probably true. We're getting Bloodlines on the 21st of October, it'll be in our hands, and we finally get a worthy follow-up to our favourite old RPG. And we've gotten some other things too. It's not just purely this release date. There's been some other tidbits, some murmuring, some more details about the game. The whole marketing campaign's in full force now. It's like a roller coaster of information. Now, to be fair, the developer has released nothing. There's no new footage. We get nothing about the game. It's almost like they're not proud of their work. They're not showing it off. They don't think if we see more, we're going to be more excited and we're going to spend our money. It seems like they're hiding things, but details are leaking, like the release date and also like the cover art. I'm not sure exactly how this did the rounds, but it's not like they released it and it was a marketing thing showing it all off and all of that. There's basically just been an article. I think it was in a magazine or something. They still do the gaming magazines. I'm kind of surprised, but more evidence that they're sort of hiding the game somewhat. They don't seem proud. They don't seem like they really want to spread the message. Here's Bloodlines 2. It's almost like they just want to coast off the name, give almost no details on the game, show almost no gameplay, and just hope you buy it because of the name alone, the reputation of the original Bloodlines. That's why it has this name in the first place, so they can coast off it. The CEO of Paradox, as we probably all know by now, he's even said this game has nothing to do with the original Bloodlines. The OG wasn't even that good. Don't expect that. If you expect that, you're putting unfair expectations onto Paradox, onto the Chinese room. It's called Bloodlines 2. It's got nothing in common with the original Troika game. It's going to be its own thing. That's all right. They're not going to show you what it actually is, really. You should just trust them. Buy it. They wouldn't lie to you. But that is basically it. It's coming in a couple of months' time now, 9-10 weeks away. It's going to be really soon. I can't believe it. Christmas has come early. But I actually think all the joking aside about how they never show anything about the game, and I'd been saying this for about 18 months ago when they first showed proper gameplay footage. They hyped up this big reveal. It was literally in January 2024. All the way back then was when they first showed the gameplay, and you sort of thought, okay, that'll be the start of it, and then they'll keep showing it. They've shown almost nothing since. There's barely been anything. But going all the way back there, I thought, oh, this is funny, making fun of them because they're not showing much gameplay, and they're showing GIFs. When they were showing the clan reveals, they didn't even do proper videos. Sometimes they did it was like a slideshow. It was like 3 frames, a GIF to show off the clan. It's like, this is kind of lazy. This is a bit weird. When are they going to show actual gameplay? I'll laugh about it, but I know it'll eventually come. It hasn't come. There was never the time where they actually said, yep, full-fledged marketing, we're going to show you the game now. That's just never happened. And it's always like, oh, there's something coming up. There'll be an event coming up. I think there's Gamescom or something. Surely that'll be the time where they finally show off the game. I honestly don't know if they will. I think, just dead serious, their business strategy actually is show as little of the game as possible, just release it, rely on the name. We've got a lot of pre-orders, we've got a lot of wish lists on Steam. Like, if you look through the Steam charts, Bloodlines 2 is still very high up. And I bet you most of those wish lists were back in like 2017, 2018, where there was actually some optimism. Brian Mitsoda was involved, everyone was nostalgic, and this could be it. And then it's only been bad news since. So they've been hoping that information doesn't get out to all of those people who have pre-ordered, have wishlisted. So it kind of makes sense. Don't show the game. Just hope these dummies part with their money when it comes out, and don't think too much. Don't do any research. Maybe that's how we'll recoup 9 years of development. That's actually how long it's been. I mean, if you do the math, it just makes sense, but we actually know that for certain now. There was some sort of Paradox report, the publisher released a report that actually said it started development in 2016. They then announced it in 2017, a bunch of fuck-ups, and now we're here. But 9 years of money spent on this game, paying probably a lot of people who commanded a big salary, a big fee, Brian Mitsoda, other OGs that were involved. Development has moved around, but 9 years for a game that they're actually embarrassed to show. They don't want to show it. They know they're going to lose sales the more that you see. I think it's actually worse than Duke Nukem Forever, because for all the talk about, oh, it was in development hell, it was literally in development forever, how funny is that? It wasn't actually in development the whole time, I believe. 3D Realms, the original dev, was working on it, and then it just sort of got stuck in limbo. I think the IP changed hands maybe a bunch of times, or something like that. It's not like the whole development cycle was devs banging their head against the wall and they couldn't get it right. Like, it was just a long time between release and it was never officially cancelled. But Bloodlines 2, it's pretty much been in development this whole time. 9 years of, for the most part, just incompetent people having a go at this. Mostly people who don't seem to care about the original anyway. It's all been a big burden for the creatives who've actually worked on the game. Most of the people, if you put aside Brian Mitsoda, I mean, even at Hardsuit Labs, you had like Cara Allison, I think her name was, who clearly didn't care much for it. It seemed like that development team, it was like, Brian's a white male, he's a bad person, he came up with a game, so we need to do something totally different. Chinese Room, it seems to be more of the same. They've distanced themselves from the original, they want to do their own thing. Paradox have admitted as such. Again, if you have expectations that this game that we're selling is Bloodlines 2, because we know it'll bring in a bit more money, if you think for any reason it's going to be like the OG, you're the toxic one, you're the problem, you're to blame. That's been their mindset. But Chinese Room have spent a lot of time on this as well, probably longer than Paradox expected. Their whole pitch for making this and taking over development was that we're going to get it out quick. It's been a few years now, but it's finally coming, apparently. We've got the cover art, there's leaked release dates, copies are probably starting to do the rounds at retailers and so on, so they can't pull this back now. This is it. There can't be that last second delay. Actually, there could be. I think the article literally does mention that the listing that was on there was subject to change. The release date was subject to change. So you never know. They could pull a last-minute fast one. Hopefully we'll survive if it doesn't come out when they say, but the last few tidbits, because again, they just released nothing about the game. There's never any like real official news to share. It's really sad. I've been so pumped this year to talk about Bloodlines 2, and it's very hard because they're hiding the information. But there was a podcast scurried away, hard to find, a Game Informer podcast. I think they were the ones who released the magazine with a little bit of Bloodlines 2 info on it, but people who've listened to it, there's a good comment here that sort of sums things up. And these two games journalists who talk about it, they apparently said that it's incredibly polished. Bloodlines 2's incredibly polished. There's no sign of troubled development. Now, some people, glass half full people, might take that as positive news. It's hard to do that, though, because we know that this game has nothing to do with the original Bloodlines. So it's barely an RPG. It's basically, from the story side of things, it seems to be presented like a Chinese Room walking simulator if you play one of their other games. But there's a combat focus as well. So it's sort of like a linear story narrative, but there's also some combat. And anytime things are a bit more open, like the hub world, or you do a level or something that's a little bit more open, it's all about just the combat. There's really nothing else to it. And then you have some story moments. You bump into an NPC, very linear storytelling. So it kind of makes sense that it is polished. They seem to have got the combat right for what they want to do. Chinese Room are probably patting themselves on the back. They've never had a game where there's really any gameplay. Now they've nailed combat in a game like this, and people are even comparing it to Dishonored combat. So, bravo. Trouble is, that's not really what people wanted out of a Bloodlines sequel. It's great that you've improved the combat. The next point is, combat is amazing. It's totally unlike the original Bloodlines in that regard. It's fantastic. Awesome. But again, that's not what people came to this sequel for. I mean, it's good that the combat is better. It's a little bit janky in the original. There are some problems because it was a rushed game. But I think if you look at the strengths of Bloodlines, you think of the characters, the narrative, the setting, the atmosphere, the RPG systems in the game. People would much prefer that you fucked up the combat again, but you got all of those things right and you brought them into the sequel. Instead, they're bringing none of the strengths, but they've just improved on a weakness, and never a strength of Bloodlines. No one played the original Bloodlines for the combat, they played it for other things, and they thought, oh, well, that's what we'll fix, but we won't bring in any of the things that people actually liked about the original. No, we'll keep that away, because times have changed, gaming has evolved in 2025, that was the sort of justification they were trying to give there. So, the fact that it always seems to start there, when anyone's praising the game, I hear nothing about the narrative, the characters, any choice making, and how that matters. No, it's just the combat. And these are shills for the game. These are people who did a magazine with Bloodlines 2 on the cover. They were probably paid. I mean, how is a magazine making any money for gaming in 2025? So even trying to shill for it, this is the best they can do, that the combat is great. And these sort of people would probably say, oh, you're complaining for the sake of complaining. There's something good about the game. Why don't you focus on that? There's just a lot of other games with great combat that I enjoy, I play. There's plenty of games that I'd play just for the combat, but it's not what I get excited about when it comes to Bloodlines. You just didn't focus on what fans want. That's why people aren't so excited, and it's why you're hiding the game, because you know that. There's a deliberate contrast between the brightly lit streets and the dark alleyways. The alleyways represent safety, and the primary access point for rooftops via scaffolding pipes. And if you just remove the fluff, I mean, it's a hub world. When you're in the main street, where I suppose it's lit, there's probably not a lot of enemies. When you go into the darkness, you can climb on the roofs. I made a big thing about how you're scaling the roofs and jumping from roof to roof. Does to me suggest, I mean, I can't help being pessimistic, that you cannot go into many of the shops and interact with what's going on in the hub world. If they made a big point about you climbing on the roofs and jumping around, well, is there anything to do just on the street? Can you enter some or most buildings like you could in the hubs in the original? I think not. I think that the hub world exists to take you to different missions. And to be fair, that's how the original Bloodlines worked. You would go off to different missions, but it seems like the hub doesn't really represent a whole lot from a gameplay perspective outside of combat. Everything seems to be very combat focused. The freeform traversal where you can run and jump and glide over rooftops reminds me of infamous Second Son. Well, again, something that could be cool, but it's not why anyone's coming to a Bloodlines game. We wanted to explore the hub and experience you as a vampire interacting with these different characters. Some of them are supernatural beings, some of them might even be human. Go into the shops, like the original, you had bars, you had the adult DVD video shop or something, you had all these different stores you could go into, and it was just interesting. There was people to meet, it was quite cool. Not seeing a lot in this. And again, they haven't shown it. So they're not really hyping any of that up in the podcast. There's no video to suggest that's how the hub works. So I'm just going to assume it can't be very interesting. You haven't shown anything interesting. I don't think you're hiding it. The hub world, there's probably just not that much to do outside of combat. Again, all combat focused. If people have guns, you can force pull the guns away from them, and then using the force, well, it's not the force, it's something else, shoot the gun back at them. And that's something I really like. Again, another strength of the game, combat. It's all combat, combat, combat. Like, you could just hold the gun and shoot it. You can do that too. You can shoot guns. But something about using your telekinesis to fire it feels so much more vampire, you know? Mechanically, it's identical, but it would be really boring to watch this game if the best strategy was always just to take guns and shoot people with them. How about having a conversation? How about getting into dialogue, making actual dialogue-based choices, or doing something else that isn't combat-related, using your other skills? Remember lockpicking and hacking computers to find passwords so you could get through a door or something without engaging in combat. There were always different ways to approach situations. That's what I appreciated about the original Bloodlines. We're getting the sequel, October 21st apparently. It's going to be a combat romp with some Life is Strange style storytelling, linear storytelling, walking simulator storytelling. That's going to be our sequel. The sad thing is, the very sad thing about Bloodlines 2 is The Outer Worlds 2 is looking appealing against it. Maybe that was Obsidian's strategy. Gee, we've got an underwhelming sequel. Everyone hated our original game. It was just mediocre slop. No one remembers it fondly. And now we're making a sequel. And gee, if we don't sell copies, Microsoft are probably going to shut us down. I know, let's release it the same month as Bloodlines 2. How to make your game look good? Release it next to Bloodlines 2, which is going to be a total disaster that makes the original look even better in 2025. All the talk about all the originals, old, it's outdated, gaming's moved on. Bloodlines 1 is never going to look better than when this comes out and people realize 20 years ago, all this reactivity, all the things that you could do in the original game, the choices that you make, the characters, they're not politically correct, they're actually interesting, they actually have personality, unlike these HR simulator replicas that they're going to have in this game. You know it's going to be like that. So it's going to release, we might have a laugh, then it's going to be forgotten, and sadly, the Bloodlines IP probably isn't going to be looking too hot after that. Hopefully one day someone comes up with a genuinely fantastic vampire RPG, but for this release at best, we might be mildly amused, and we'll see what happens. 9-10 weeks, it's probably coming out, and that'll be it. Thanks for listening. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Bye.